You wanna talk about the books you read this year? Not this year. This month, Cookie? Hi everyone, it's Jill, and in today's video I'm going to be doing a January reading wrap-up. The first book I have in my list here is Icebreaker, and I actually thought this one was pretty good. It's about a figure skater and a hockey player. They have to start sharing the ice rink because there's a prank that went kind of wrong. It really reminded me of the Off-Campus series. I think I've read the first 2 books of that series, and I actually thought it was pretty interesting because the main character is a figure skater who was adopted and started skating at a very young age, which I'm also adopted and I started skating at a very young age. I thought that the 2 main characters were pretty good at communicating, which was kind of refreshing to see because I feel like in some romance books that's like non-existent. However, I did not finish this, and it wasn't because I didn't like or enjoy the book. I purchased it on my phone with the Books app, and I've realized I don't really like reading on my phone, so I think what happened is I took too big of a reading gap from reading that and then just reading other books, that once I went back to reading it, I was thinking I just don't really care about what's going on anymore. But I know a lot of people love this book, so I feel like if I want to try to read it again, I should just get the paperback. Okay, the next book that I read was Verity by Colleen Hoover, and this one is about a writer who is kind of struggling, I believe, and she gets the opportunity to finish a book series from a very well-known author. Oh, here's my read. I've literally been looking for this bookmark. Okay, I'm glad I found that. But to finish this series, she has to live in the author's house with the author's husband, and there's like a 6-year-old child, I think. And during this stay, she's supposed to go through the author's office to see if there's anything that can help her with finishing this series. And she ends up finding a manuscript which has some really shocking stories and secrets. I feel like a lot of people have probably read this one by now, and I did enjoy reading it. I read it in a day, which I don't normally do. Coco. I did like the ending of this one, and just throughout the book it was like kind of spooky and thrilling. I totally meant to read this during October for Halloween season, but I think my sister had it at that point. I would recommend this one, and I am team manuscript if you're wondering, and I think I rated this on Goodreads as 4 stars. And also I would rate Icebreaker as 3 stars, but I need to read that one again, so I don't even know if I should like qualify that enough to rate it. So after Verity, I started reading The Nest, and this one was about a family. There was a bunch of siblings who were expecting an inheritance from the parents, grandparents, something like that. And I ended up DNFing this at, I think it was 100 pages. I just don't really think I'm super into the family drama type stories, and the one sibling in this, he kind of messed up the inheritance for all of the siblings. So they were all mad at him, and they're trying to resolve that, I guess. It kind of weirdly reminded me of Too Hot to Handle, like how one person messes up and then all of them suffer because the money is like being affected. I also found like there were a lot of characters in here, and I was getting a little bit confused, but that was also probably in combination with the fact that I don't love this type of genre of book. So as a result, I ended up DNFing it, but my sister said it's good, so I don't know. You should definitely not like completely write it off if you're interested. The next series, I did a reading vlog on this one. I'll link it in the description bar, but it is the Heartstopper series. I love these books so much. This series is about 2 boys in high school, and they meet. They're not in the same grade, but they become friends, and then they become more than friends. And it deals with them navigating high school while being together, but they also have some personal struggles as well. It's such an amazing series, and even the 4th one ended on a kind of like a, not really cliffhanger, but there's still going to be a 5th one coming out, so I'm super excited about that. I read all 4 of these books so fast, and it also is a Netflix series, which I watched with my boyfriend after I read them, and the Netflix series was also really great as well. I really loved all of the characters, and everyone was so good at communicating with each other, even through some like pretty difficult situations and topics. And it was also just so cute and so romantic as well. I would definitely recommend this entire series. Alright, the next book that I read was The Song of Achilles, and this one is about this guy. He gets banished from his kingdom because he accidentally kills, wait, I don't know if that's like a, no, it says on the back. He accidentally kills someone when he's pretty young, and he gets banished to go to another kingdom, and in the new kingdom that he's living in, he meets Achilles and is like pretty infatuated with him from the start. They learn to battle and become fighters, and eventually they have to go to war. Unfortunately, this one wasn't personally for me, but I do understand why people liked it. I rated it 3 stars. I found it personally difficult to navigate the whole Greek mythology around it. There was lots of terms, lots of different names that I just like, it was hard to wrap my head around, even though I'm like, I used to be kind of into Greek mythology, but I don't know, I guess I just kind of fell out of that. Also, I just didn't like Achilles. I found him to be pretty selfish. And then also the other main character, Patroclus, he was really written in a way that made him seem very weak and unable to fend for himself, which for me made it difficult to get really into this. But I did finish it. I feel like I read this one in a day as well, so it was good enough for me to get through and everything, but just overall I just didn't love the story, which I know a lot of people love this, so I'm sorry if this is like your favorite book, but yeah. Anyway, moving on. I realized I didn't rate the Heartstopper series, but they're definitely 5 stars, all 4 of the books. I read Layla next, and I think this was the worst book that I read in January. I could not stand this book. So this is about a couple, they meet. It was definitely insta love. Also, this book and this one was in my rating my highest and lowest rated books in my TBR. This was the highest rated one, by the way, and this was the lowest, which I understand why it was the lowest because it sucks. So anyway, the boy and girl meet, fall in love, and something happens to the woman where she has loss of memory and she also has many mental health struggles. The boy thinks, oh, I need to reignite this love, so I'm gonna take her to where we meet, which was like this kind of Airbnb or like bed and breakfast place. However, at this place there's a ghost who's watching them and then starts to interact with the guy. That's all I'm gonna say about this without spoiling it, but it is really bad and I don't like the main character guy at all. He was awful. Yeah, this boyfriend was just so awful, abusive, just like a terrible boyfriend. And it's annoying because the situation of this book and the outcome is kind of actually interesting, but it's ruined by the poorly written characters, in my opinion. That just overshadowed any intrigue I had about this book. I would not recommend this one, and I rated it 2 stars, which was, in my opinion, maybe even generous. And after that train wreck, I read Malibu Rising, which I've heard some mixed reviews about. Some people really love it, some people are like mad about it. It's about this wealthy family who throws a big party every summer. It's kind of infamous for having a lot of famous people there. There are 4 siblings and their dad pretty much neglected them and their mom from when they were a really young age. It goes back and forth from the past to present, which I actually do really like. And it really focused on the mom's experience of first meeting the husband and first having kids to when, and then going back to the present time when the kids are throwing this party. There really wasn't, in my opinion, a huge plot in this book, but I did enjoy it. I found it especially interesting reading about the then and now of the mother's experience and then the daughter's experience and the similarities between them. And I would rate this one 3 stars. So the last book that I read this month was In 5 Years, and I didn't really like this one either. It's about this girl who's happily in love with her boyfriend, now fiance, and that night that he proposes, she has like a vision or a dream, I don't know exactly what you want to call it, of herself 5 years into the future, and she notices that she's with a different man, she has a different ring on her finger, and she finds this vision or dream to be very jarring. And then when she wakes up back into the present time, she's like, what is going on? I don't really understand if that's real or if it's not real. And I did find the concept of this to be interesting. However, I didn't really like the main character. I don't think she thought very rationally, which didn't really make sense because she was a lawyer and she's obviously smart. I found her to be making some very big decisions only based on this dream, which she doesn't even know whether it's true or if it's just like a dream or whatever. So that didn't really make sense to me. But also the 2 guys that was supposed to be the love interest in here, you don't really get to know either of them very well. I found myself not even really caring whether she ended up with the one guy or the other. And another qualm I have with this is that it really isn't a love story, but on the blurb here it says it's a love story. It is an unforgettable love story. But it really isn't. I think it's definitely more about friendship than a love story. And I also just didn't like the ending very much. So that was a miss for me. But I am glad that I got this and tried it out because I know a lot of people were raving about that, I feel like a few months ago. Anyways, that is going to be it for this January reading wrap up. Thank you so much for watching. Please give this video a like and comment down below any books you read this month or any reading recommendations that you have for me. Also subscribe to my channel if you want more book content as well as the occasional vlog. And I will see you in my next video, which is going to be a February TBR, which I'm super excited for. Bye!